What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion Keith "One-Time" Thurman has a message for currently undefeated WBC IBF unified welterweight superstar boxer Errol the True Spence Jr. Keith Thurman and Errol Spence Jr. was talked about as the big fight in the welterweight division once upon a time. That since has went by the wayside and been replaced. Keith Thurman has been replaced by undefeated WBO three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Prior to Terrence Crawford making his debut in the welterweight division, the big fight was Keith Thurman, Errol Spence. Everywhere Keith Thurman went, Errol Spence was chasing him down, looking to get the fight with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman kept turning everything Errol Spence said, and all his call-outs landed on deaf ears, right? Keith Thurman shunned Errol Spence. He always turned and acted like Errol Spence, that's a fight that'll happen in the future. Errol Spence got to get a title. Errol Spence is not ready. That fight hasn't got big enough, right? Now Keith Thurman has changed his tune after losing to 8-division world champion, legendary Filipino superstar boxer Manny "Pac-Man" Pacquiao, who is currently the WBA welterweight world champion, because he dethroned Keith Thurman as that champion, right? Now Keith Thurman is saying he dropped the ball. He absolutely dropped the ball, and he misjudged the mega fight between himself and Errol Spence. He's always thought that that was the mega fight for his career. That was his legacy fight. That was his Manny Pacquiao if he was Floyd Mayweather, right? He's always stated that he wanted his legacy fights. So he says he absolutely misjudged the Errol Spence fight. He said he dropped the ball. Now he knows, he still in his mind still feels like that is the mega fight in the welterweight division. He still feel like that's the biggest fight. He says, but he has to go through Manny Pacquiao, regain his title, avenge that loss, and then go after Errol Spence. He says, but the Errol Spence fight is the fight his heart has always desired, even though he hasn't always shown it. You haven't shown it, Keith Thurman. He said he suffered many injuries. He just had surgery on his wrist, citing as that the reason why he lost to Manny Pacquiao in that fight. He said it was still a very, very close fight, which it was. Manny Pacquiao won the first half of the fight handily, and that's why Manny Pacquiao won the fight. But Keith Thurman is saying that, he suffered a wrist injury, he had a hand injury, he had surgery, and now the bone is reattached, and he has 2 staples. Hopefully it don't, reoccur. But now he feels back to his old self, and he believes that given the opportunity, he'll defeat Manny Pacquiao, right? So he said that now he feels like he has to avenge the Manny Pacquiao loss before going into the Errol Spence fight, going straight away into it, because now it lost some of its luster due to the fact that he's no longer undefeated and he does not have a title. So he said he's hungry to regain the title and then go after Errol Spence. He said that that's the big fight, the legacy fight. He said that he definitely wanted to fight, share the square circle with a legend like Manny Pacquiao, but he never thought of that as the legacy fight. He always thought that the Errol Spence fight was the legacy fight. Errol Spence has recently come out and stated that he has zero interest in Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman danced around him for too many years, made him jump through too many hurdles, and never gave him his opportunity. Now he lost, and he seems to be a forgotten man in the welterweight division. And he is. Most people, when you make mention of the welterweights, the top welterweights, and just the welterweights in general, Keith Thurman is the last person that comes to your mind. He's kind of made himself Mr. Irrelevant in the top of the echelon of the welterweight division, right? He said that, he definitely wants the Errol Spence fight. But now we have to see if Keith Thurman is actually believable, right? Because the Manny Pacquiao fight is a lucrative fight. So that's going to see him earn a lot of money. He stated that, he's now hungry in the sport. He's earned the money that he was seeking. Now he's just hungry to, build on his legacy. But the world is going to question, right, if Keith Thurman was to beat Manny Pacquiao in a rematch, would you actually go forward with the Errol Spence fight, right? Because He says that he's always favored himself and his skill set. He liking his skill set compared to how he matches up with Errol Spence. So he feels like he'll beat Errol Spence. Errol Spence and Keith Thurman was on the panel on PBC numerous of times where Errol Spence called out Keith Thurman when he was sitting right there, and Keith Thurman was hesitant. Now Keith Thurman is citing that he had too many injuries to take such a fight, and he wanted to let the fight build with Errol Spence because he always thought of it as his Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight, right? So he said with the injuries he had and the fact that he misjudged the timing, he dropped the ball in the situation and let that big fight get away from him. But he feels like he can rekindle it by beating Manny Pacquiao, regaining his title, and then he'll go straight into the Errol Spence fight. But he don't want to go straight away into it because he wants it to be his legacy fight. Keith Thurman was also asked about fighting without live fans in the crowd, without the fan base, and he said it wouldn't bother him because sometimes the fan boo you, sometimes they cheer you, but you kind of tune them out when you're in the middle of a fight anyway, when your adrenaline starts to pump. I understand that. But Keith Thurman, I think at this point in time, has lost some love for the sport of boxing. I think that Errol Spence will dominate Keith Thurman after the first 4 or 5 rounds. He'll get his timing down. Errol Spence would, calculate the necessary data to understand what Keith Thurman is trying to do, and then he would dominate Keith Thurman. At this point in time, Keith Thurman just doesn't have what it takes to, rekindle, I believe, what he had, the opportunity he had. He lost it. He dropped the ball. He had a big fight with Errol Spence. It would have been a unification bout once Errol Spence defeated Kell Brook, and he still didn't take the fight. He still danced around the fight. He still prolonged it. And as he stated, and then here's another thing. Keith Thurman made mention that he was never offered the Errol Spence fight, and Errol Spence never truly wanted to fight him. If he truly wanted to fight him, he would have been made an offer to and sent a contract. And now you're saying you dropped the ball, you prolonged it purposely so that you could make it a bigger fight. So see, when you hear Keith Thurman talking, he tries to talk you in circles. He's very intelligent, but he tries to talk you in circles, and he tries to walk you around the block. And and it's kind of like he's trying to confuse you. He's trying to lose you in the conversation, right? And so he says a lot of things, but not too many with conviction. So he stated that he was never offered the Errol Spence fight, and Errol Spence never truly wanted to fight. He just said this about 2 weeks ago. Now he's saying that he's admitting that he was the one that prolonged the fight and was hesitant because he wanted to allow the fight to brew, and he's admitting that he dropped the ball. So there you have it, that Errol Spence truly did want the fight, and Keith Thurman didn't want the fight. But like I said, at this point in time, Errol Spence already stated he has no true interest in fighting Keith Thurman because he thinks that, first of all, he don't like how Keith Thurman treated him. He don't like Keith Thurman as a person, Errol Spence said. He said he believes he's fake. He says he puts on the show, and he's just all about the revenue at this point. It's not about building his legacy, and he does nothing for him. So maybe at some point in time when it's just not a important fight, maybe an interim or a voluntary, he'll take the Keith Thurman fight. But like I said, at this point in time, the development of Errol Spence, the growth, the experience now he's garnering, the position he's in, he's going to dominate Keith Thurman. I see him stopping Keith Thurman at some point in time, especially with his body attack and Keith Thurman being weak to the body. Errol Spence has learned how to cut the ring off. At one point in time, I thought it would be an interesting fight because I thought Keith Thurman's legs, his ability to utilize the ring and his ring generalship would play a major factor in the fight. Not anymore. Errol Spence has learned how to cut the ring off. He will cut the ring off, and he will dominate Keith Thurman. He'll stop Keith Thurman. So at this point in time, one could question, is Keith Thurman at this point in time doing this solely for the ability to gain revenue, not for legacy? He's claiming it's about legacy, but I no longer believe it's about legacy. I believe that Keith Thurman is looking to cash out. The Manny Pacquiao fight will be a cash out fight, and then if he did beat Manny Pacquiao, he may start dancing around Errol Spence, talking about he has mandatory, so on and so forth. So Not too many. He lost a lot of his fan base, and not too many people believe in Keith Thurman anymore. And that's all self-inflicted wounds by Keith Thurman himself. Now, he did suffer injuries, but still in all, he made himself irrelevant. He disappeared from, the spotlight. He did it to himself, and out of sight, out of mind. That's what happens. And then you come back, you beat Josito Lopez, but you got seriously hurt in that fight, nearly knocked out, and you was injured in the fight. And then you say you shouldn't have took the fight with Josito Lopez. Then you lost to Manny Pacquiao. So Keith Thurman's not believable at the upper echelon in the welterweight division. He's definitely still a name. He only has one loss. He can rectify his career, but we have to see Keith Thurman actually take it serious at this point in time, not just for the revenue side of it, but actually for the legacy and for the rankings and true meaningful fights and wanting to be the best. So let's see how this plays out. But at this point in time, Errol Spence, I think, is going to stop Keith Thurman by the 7th, 8th round. But that's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.